The Tailor and Strange Wish. Once upon a time, in a distant land, there lived a skilled tailor with 3 beautiful and kind-hearted daughters. One day, the king summoned him to accompany the royal caravan on a long journey to sew magnificent garments for the nobles. On the morning of his departure, the tailor embraced his daughters and asked lovingly, "My dear daughters, tell me, what souvenirs shall I bring for you from this journey?" The eldest daughter smiled and said, "A golden dress, adorned with shining coins." The second daughter said, "A pair of beautiful shoes decorated with diamonds and rubies." But the youngest daughter, always more silent and mysterious than her sisters, suddenly looked at her father with tearful eyes and said, "Father, bring me the prince's eyes." The tailor's heart sank with fear. He asked in shock, "My child, why do you wish for something so dreadful?" But the girl lowered her head and begged through her tears, "Please, father, don't ask me why. Just promise you will bring them." The tailor, who loved his daughter dearly, hesitantly agreed. But throughout the journey, her horrifying request haunted his mind. Every time he looked into the prince's eyes, his heart pounded. How could he possibly fulfill such a request? One night, unable to bear the torment of his thoughts, he ran deep into the forest, knelt by a river and wept. Suddenly, from behind the bushes, a forest fairy emerged and asked gently, "Why are you so sorrowful, old tailor?" The tailor told her everything. The fairy gave a mysterious smile and said, "Are you willing to give up the rest of your life so that your daughter's wish may come true?" The tailor, seeing no other choice, nodded. The fairy said, "Sew a set of clothes for the prince and give them to him tonight. These clothes are enchanted and will protect him from any harm. Tonight, another prince will try to assassinate him, but thanks to your garment, he will survive. In return, you may take the assassin's eyes for your daughter. But remember, after this, you will only have 1 day left to live." That very night, the tailor worked tirelessly, sewing the enchanted clothes. He rushed to the palace and, trembling with fear, presented them to the prince. The prince was surprised by the tailor's late-night visit, but out of respect, he accepted the gift and wore it to bed. Just as the fairy had foretold, assassins attacked the prince in the dead of night, attempting to stab him in his sleep. But every strike failed to pierce his body, and by morning, the prince was still alive. The next day, the prince, grateful for his miraculous survival, asked the tailor, "You saved my life. Tell me, what reward do you desire?" The tailor, his heart heavy, said, "I ask for the assassin's eyes." The prince, still furious over the attack, immediately granted his request. The tailor placed the eyes in a bucket of ice and, with a sorrowful heart, journeyed home. When he arrived, he gave his daughters their gifts. But the youngest daughter quickly took the eyes and ran towards the forest. The tailor, now in the final hours of his life, lacked the strength to chase after her. Deep in the woods, the girl played a special tune on a whistle. Suddenly, the forest fairy emerged from a crack in an ancient tree. The girl placed the eyes in the fairy's hands and pleaded, "Fill my father's life vessel once more." The fairy took the eyes and hung them around her neck. Then she handed the girl a glowing vial and said, "Be careful not to break it." Overjoyed, the girl rushed back home. When she arrived, she saw her father lying in bed, taking his final breaths. Without hesitation, she poured the elixir from the vial into his mouth. The tailor's eyes widened as life and youth returned to him. His old age faded, and strength filled his body once more. But as he took his first deep breath, his daughter suddenly staggered back. Her skin turned pale, Her hands trembled, and her eyes filled with terror. "Father, I feel so cold," she whispered. The tailor rushed toward her, but she collapsed before he could catch her. Her lips parted as if she wanted to say something, but no words came out. Her breath stopped. Her body lay still. The father shook her, called her name, wept over her. But there was no response. The forest fairy's voice echoed in his mind. "Be careful not to break it." And then he understood. The price of saving his life was hers. He had unknowingly given up his daughter's soul in exchange for his own. He held her in his arms, screaming in grief, but the heavens remained silent. That night, as the wind howled through the trees, the tailor sat beside his daughter's lifeless body, holding her close, whispering apologies that would never be heard. And when the morning came, he was still there, an old man, alive but utterly broken, staring into the void, realizing that some wishes should never come true. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on more content like this. Thank you for your support.